Captain Ethan Voss leaned back in his chair aboard the Starhawk, the sleek human reconnaissance vessel gliding silently through the inky blackness of space. The stars stretched endlessly outside the viewing window, distant and cold, yet full of possibility. Today, the mission was simple: scout the surface of a newly discovered planet in the Outer Rim. A planet reported to harbor the alien species known as the Zalaris, a race feared for their cunning and ferocity in battle. Ethan's crew moved with practiced efficiency, each person absorbed in their tasks. Lieutenant Mira Chen monitored the ship's sensors, scanning for life signs and atmospheric readings. Ensign Rico Vila fiddled nervously with the comms, clearly uneasy about venturing so far into enemy territory. Captain Mira's voice broke through the quiet. "I'm picking up multiple life signatures on the surface. They're massive. Definitely Zalaris. They're armed." Ethan's jaw tightened. "How many?" "Dozens, maybe hundreds," Mira replied, her fingers flying across the console. "They're spread out over a wide area. And wait, there's an anomaly here. Something small, moving among them." Ethan straightened. "Small? What do you mean?" Myra zoomed in on the screen. "It's an egg. One of their eggs. Alone, unprotected, at the edge of their patrol zone." Ethan's brow furrowed. A Zalaris egg. Rare, fragile, and almost certainly valuable to both species if it hatched. It could become a dangerous warrior. But something in him stirred at the sight. Humans had always been judged by their courage, their curiosity, and their ability to choose mercy over fear. "Plot a course," Ethan said quietly. "We're bringing it on board." Rico's face went pale. "Captain, you can't be serious. That's enemy property. That's dangerous." Ethan met his gaze steadily. "It's a life, Rico, and if we leave it there, it will die. We're not just soldiers. We're humans. We do what's right, even when it's hard." The ship descended through the planet's thick green atmosphere, Zalaris patrols moving below like shadows over the dense forests. Ethan's heart pounded as the landing gear touched down on the rough, rocky terrain. The crew disembarked cautiously, weapons ready, but tense. The egg lay on a flat stone, glistening faintly in the sunlight filtering through the alien trees. It was larger than a basketball, smooth and iridescent, with faint patterns that shifted like liquid under the light. Ethan knelt carefully, studying it. This is incredible," he whispered. "Look at it, Mira. It's alive." Suddenly, a shrill cry split the air. The Zalaris patrol had spotted them. The trees erupted in movement as dozens of towering alien soldiers charged. Their sleek, armored bodies glimmered with scales that shifted color with every step. Ethan's team opened fire, weapons flashing, but the Zalaris were fast, almost too fast for human eyes to track. Ethan grabbed the egg and sprinted toward the shuttle. "Move, move, move," he shouted. Mira and Rico followed, covering him as he clutched the fragile life form to his chest. The Zalaris were relentless, their screeches piercing. But the humans' training held them together. A Zalaris warrior lunged, its claws striking the ground mere inches from Ethan's boots. He rolled, firing his plasma pistol, and the creature stumbled back with a hiss. Ethan's mind raced. If they didn't make it to the shuttle in time, they'd lose the Agond, possibly their lives. Finally, they reached the ship. Ethan slammed the hatch closed, breathing heavily. The engines roared, lifting them above the forest in a cloud of dust and steam. Mira monitored the retreating Zalaris patrols. "They didn't follow," she said, relief in her voice. "For now." Ethan placed the egg in a specially designed containment pod. The pod hummed softly, stabilizing temperature and gravity to simulate the conditions of the planet. The egg seemed to pulse faintly, as if it recognized the safety Ethan provided. For hours, the crew watched over it in silence. Finally, a sharp crack echoed from the pod. Ethan's heart leapt. The surface of the egg split like glass, and a tiny wet creature emerged. Its body was covered in shimmering scales, and its eyes, large and luminous, blinked rapidly. It looked directly at Ethan, tilting its head as if assessing him. It knows us, Rico whispered, awe and fear mixed in his voice. The hatchling moved cautiously, taking its first steps. Ethan extended his hand slowly. The creature sniffed, then touched his fingers with its tiny claw. There was a moment of connection, a spark of understanding that passed between them. Ethan smiled softly. "You're safe now, little one," he said. "I'm not going to let anything happen to you." Over the next few days, Ethan named the hatchling Clear. It adapted quickly, following him everywhere, learning at a speed that astonished the crew. It was playful at times, mischievous at others, yet always intelligent. Ethan realized that Clear was no ordinary Zalaris. The hatchling's mind seemed unusually sharp, and its instincts were strong, but their sanctuary did not last. Unbeknownst to them, high above the planet, the Zalaris Queen Zyra observed every move. Her massive figure hovered in an energy-shielded observation craft, her eyes sharp and calculating. She had seen her egg-saved-on act of mercy that was unheard of among her species. "Interesting," she said, her voice like silk over steel. "A human chooses to protect the child of its enemy. Bring him to me. I will see his spirit for myself." Back on the Starhawk, Ethan noticed subtle shifts in Claire's behavior. The hatchling seemed restless at times, staring at the stars with what Ethan could only interpret as longing or recognition. He didn't yet understand why, but he felt a growing bond that went beyond duty. It was as if Clear had chosen him, and he had, in turn, chosen Klyr. Mira studied Ethan one evening in the quiet of the observation deck. "Captain, you really are going to protect that thing no matter what, aren't you?" Ethan didn't answer immediately. He watched Clear play with a small device, its tiny claws manipulating it with surprising dexterity. "Yes," he said finally, "no matter what. It's not just about the mission anymore. It's about doing what's right. If we can save this life, maybe we can change something. Maybe even change the way they see us." Rico frowned. "Or maybe we're just making a bigger target for ourselves." Ethan shook his head. "Humans aren't just soldiers, Rico. We're capable of more. Courage, compassion, understanding, those things matter. And right now, Clear needs someone to believe in them." That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He walked to the pod, watching the hatchling curled up, its tiny chest rising and falling. He placed a hand gently on the glass. "Whatever comes next," he whispered, "I'll protect you." Unknown to him, far above, Queen Zyra's eyes narrowed. Ethan Voss had done something extraordinary, something that could not be ignored. She didn't just see him as an enemy. She saw potential a spark of strength and honor that few humans possessed. And for the first time in her long life, she wondered if a human could be worthy of something greater. Worthy even of her trust. Or perhaps something more. As the Starhawk continued its journey through the stars, Ethan and Clear slept, unaware of the eyes watching them, of the choices that would soon come, and of the path that had begun, one that would test courage, loyalty, and the true meaning of honor. The universe, vast and unpredictable, had just begun to notice Captain Ethan Voss. The Starhawk moved silently through the dense asteroid belt, its engines humming softly as it carried Captain Ethan Voss, his crew, and the fragile Zalaris hatchling, Clear. Away from the surface of the hostile planet, the stars flickered outside the observation window, but their brilliance offered little comfort. Ethan's mind was heavy with thoughts of what had just transpired. Saving the alien hatchling had been an act of mercy, but he knew it had consequences. Lieutenant Mira Chen sat nearby, scanning the readouts again. "Captain," she said cautiously, "I'm picking up several fast-moving ships on our long-range sensors. They're approaching from multiple vectors. These aren't human vessels. They're Zalaris." Ethan clenched his fists. "They found us faster than I expected. Prepare evasive maneuvers. Rico, get our defenses online." Rico Vela, still pale from the encounter on the planet, nodded and began activating the ship's shields. The Starhawk shuddered as the first of the Zalaris fighters appeared on the sensors. Their forms shimmered with the same reflective armor Ethan had seen on the ground. These were elite warriors, fast, lethal, and relentless. Ethan took a deep breath. Keep calm. We can't outrun them forever. We need to be smart, not just fast. The hatchling, sensing the tension, crawled closer to Ethan. Clyre's luminous eyes blinked. Following the lines of the approaching ships, Ethan reached out to touch the small creature gently. Don't worry. Clear. We'll get through this. Together. The Zolaris ships surged closer. Their weapons glowed with a cold blue energy that made even the Starhawk's shields tremble. Mira's hands flew across her console. They're coordinating. It's like they know exactly what we're going to do before we do it. Ethan studied the approaching fleet. Then we'll change the plan. Head toward the asteroid field. They'll have trouble following us there, Rico frowned. Captain, their tracking systems are advanced. The moment we enter the field, they'll predict our moves. Ethan shook his head. Not if we mix strategy with unpredictability. Hold on, everyone. The Starhawk dove into the asteroid belt, weaving between massive rocks that tumbled silently in the void. The Zolaris ships followed, their weapons firing in bursts that lit up the darkness. Ethan's hands were steady on the controls, his mind calculating every possible move. Clear chirped softly, almost as if warning them. Then, something remarkable happened. A faint glow appeared around the hatchling, a soft, pulsing light that seemed to interact with the Starhawk's systems. The ship's shields stabilized even under heavy fire, giving them precious seconds to maneuver. What the? Rico exclaimed. Did Clear just help the shields? Ethan's eyes widened. It seems, yes, that hatchling isn't ordinary. It's intelligent more than we thought. The Zolaris ships hesitated for a moment, as if sensing the same thing. But hesitation lasted only seconds. The alien fleet pressed on, relentless as ever. Hours passed. Ethan guided the Starhawk through the asteroid field, avoiding collisions and carefully using the environment to their advantage. Mira and Rico marveled at Clyre's strange abilities. Every time a new threat appeared, the hatchlings seemed to respond instinctively, directing their actions in small but meaningful ways. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the Starhawk emerged from the asteroid belt and entered a region of empty space. For a brief moment, relief washed over the crew. They had survived the first chase. But Ethan knew the danger was far from over. We can't keep running forever, he said quietly, addressing Mira and Rico. They'll adapt. The Zolaris are smart, and now they know Clear is with us. They won't give up. Mira nodded, agreed. But what do we do with the hatchling? Its abilities. They're incredible, but it's also a child. How do we keep it safe and still complete the mission? Ethan looked at Clear, who curled up in a small containment pod, eyes closed but glowing faintly with energy. We protect it, no matter what. If we fail, it won't just be Clear that Dysek could start a war bigger than any we've seen. As the crew rested, Ethan wandered the observation deck, staring at the stars. His thoughts were interrupted by a sudden shimmer outside the viewport. A massive figure appeared aship, unlike any he had seen before. Its design was elegant, almost organic, with flowing curves and a glow that seemed alive. The Zolaris queen herself, Zyra, observed them from her craft. Ethan's stomach tightened. He had seen her briefly on the surface through a distant scanner, but now he faced her fully. Queen Zyra was enormous, her presence commanding and intimidating. Her eyes, sharp and calculating, seemed to look directly into Ethan's soul. A transmission crackled through the Starhawk's comm system. The voice was melodic, yet filled with authority. Captain Ethan Voss, she said, her tone calm but firm. You have taken what is mine. You have shown mercy to a life that is not yours to save. That is unusual for a human. I wish to meet you. Ethan's jaw tightened. We're not surrendering Clear. That hatchling is under my protection, and we won't hand it over. The Queen's voice was steady, almost amused. Courage. Interesting. Most would tremble in fear. Yet you risk everything for a creature you barely understand. You have spirit, Captain. I will see it for myself, Myra whispered. Captain, this is dangerous. She's the leader of their entire species. Ethan nodded. But I can't back down. Not now. Not after what we've done. Clear stirred in its pod, sensing the tension. The hatchling's eyes glowed brighter as it raised a small limb, almost as if reaching for Ethan. The bond between them was clear, unspoken, and powerful. Over the next few days, the Starhawk evaded several more patrols, each encounter teaching Ethan something new about Clyre's abilities. The hatchling could manipulate energy fields in subtle ways, deflecting weapons, enhancing shields, and even communicating through mental impressions that Ethan began to understand. One evening, as the crew rested, Clear approached Ethan outside its pod. Its small claw reached out, touching his hand gently. Ethan felt a surge of connection, a strange warmth spreading through him. "You're more than a hatchling," he whispered. "You're remarkable, and I promise I'll keep you safe. Whatever happens, we face it together." Mira and Rico watched silently, realizing that the bond between human and alien child was extraordinary. They began to understand why Ethan risked everything, not for glory, not for orders, but because compassion and courage drove him to protect life, even the life of an enemy species. Unbeknownst to them, Queen Zyra was not idle. She studied Ethan's actions carefully, intrigued by his choices. Few humans had shown such bravery and honor, and fewer still had acted with mercy toward the Zilluris. The Queen began to question what she had long believed, that humans were unpredictable and weak. Ethan's spirit suggested something more: a rare strength, capacity for loyalty and courage that even the Zilluris might respect. "Interesting," Zyra murmured to herself. "This human, he may be worthy of more than I expected. Prepare the envoy. I will meet him soon. Let us see if his courage is true." Back aboard the Starhawk, Ethan and his crew had no idea that the Queen herself had begun to take an interest in them. Their journey was far from over. But one thing was clear. Clear was not only a child in need of protection, but a catalyst that could change the balance between humans and Zilluris forever, as the Starhawk jumped into hyperspace, leaving the Zilluris patrols behind. Ethan looked at Clear. The hatchling blinked slowly, a soft glow surrounding it. And Ethan felt a sense of hope he hadn't experienced in years. For the first time, he allowed himself to imagine a future where humans and Zilluris might understand each other, not as enemies, but as allies, perhaps even as friends. The stars streaked past, endless and unyielding. The path ahead was uncertain, filled with danger and challenges they could not yet imagine. But Ethan knew one thing with absolute certainty: he would protect Clear, no matter what, because courage, compassion, and loyalty were what made humans extraordinary. And somewhere in the shadows of space, Queen Zyra watched, intrigued and calculating, ready to test the human who dared to defy expectation and protect her offspring. The game had begun. The Starhawk glided through the deep void of space, carrying Captain Ethan Voss, his crew, and the small but extraordinary Zilluris hatchling, Clear. Days had passed since their narrow escape from the Zilluris patrols, yet the tension aboard the ship had not eased. Every crew member moved cautiously, eyes flicking to the sensors. Hearts aware that danger was never far, Ethan stood at the observation window, watching the stars blur into streaks as the ship traveled at faster than light speed. Clear perched on his shoulder, its luminous eyes following every flicker of light outside. Despite its small size, the hatchling seemed to radiate an intelligence and awareness far beyond its years. Ethan could feel that Clear was learning, observing, even communicating in ways that he could sense but not fully understand. Mira Chen approached, her steps quiet on the metallic deck. "Captain," she said, her voice low, "we're approaching a sector where life signs are reported. Unmapped worlds, dense asteroid fields, maybe even rogue colonies. We should be careful." Ethan nodded. "Agreed, but we can't stay hidden forever. The Queen knows we're out here. At some point, we'll have to face her or risk losing Clear to her forces." Clear chirped softly, brushing its small claw against Ethan's cheek, as if acknowledging his words. Ethan smiled, feeling a strange comfort in the presence of the alien child. "You're right," he whispered. "We face it together." The first challenge came unexpectedly. A sudden gravitational anomaly ripped through their path, pulling the Starhawk toward a dense field of debris. Rocks and metal fragments tumbled violently through space, and the ship rocked as shields flared. Ethan's hands gripped the controls tightly. "Brace for impact," he shouted. The Starhawk twisted and rolled, narrowly avoiding collisions with massive fragments. Mira and Rico worked frantically at their stations, stabilizing shields and monitoring energy levels. Clear clung to Ethan's shoulder, its small claws digging into his suit instinctively. Then something incredible happened. A soft glow emerged from Clear's body, spreading outward in a pulsing rhythm. The energy radiated around the Starhawk, deflecting debris and stabilizing shields. The crew stared in awe. "Captain." "It's clear," Mira said, barely breathing. "It's helping the ship." Ethan's eyes widened. "I know I've seen it before, but this is extraordinary." The hatchling's energy seemed to respond directly to danger, almost like it could sense threats before they appeared. In that moment, Ethan understood something crucial. Clear was not just a child. It was a bridge, being capable of connecting to worlds if given the chance. After the Starhawk passed the debris field safely, the crew exhaled in relief. Mira wiped sweat from her brow. "That was too close. I've never seen anything like it." Ethan nodded, his mind racing. "We can't underestimate what we're dealing with. Clear is powerful, but fragile too. Every decision we make matters." As days turned into weeks, Ethan and Clear's bond deepened. They learned to communicate in subtle ways, gestures, looks, even shared feelings that transcended words. Clear could mimic Ethan's movements, anticipate his actions, and sometimes even warn him of hidden dangers before they appeared on the sensors. Rico, initially skeptical and fearful, began to respect the hatchling's abilities. "I didn't believe it at first," he admitted one evening, "but Clear, it's incredible. It's like it understands more than some humans I know." That's the point. Life, no matter the form, has value. Courage and intelligence aren't limited to one species. Yet danger was never far. Scout ships from the Zaloris Empire began shadowing the Starhawk, striking from a distance with precision. The humans had to stay alert at all times, using every tactic at their disposal to remain unseen. But with each encounter, Clear's abilities grew. It could sense energy patterns, anticipate attacks, and even manipulate small energy fields to shield the ship. One day, while the Starhawk passed through a dense nebula, Ethan noticed something unusual on the sensors. "Mira, look at this," he said, pointing to a cluster of life signs scattered across a small moon. "These readings, they're not hostile. They're colonies. Zalaris outposts that don't seem aware of us." Mira frowned. "A chance to gather intelligence?" Ethan shook his head. "No, we're here for Clear, not war. But maybe we can learn more about their society. Understanding them could save lives." Clear chirped, its tiny body glowing faintly. Ethan took it as a sign. "All right, little one. Let's see what we can learn." Starhawk descended to the moon's surface. The human crew donned protective suits and weapons, though Ethan kept his focus on Clear. As they approached a small settlement, they were careful to remain hidden. Observing from a distance, they saw Zalaris individuals performing daily tasks, building, communicating, hunting. It was ordinary life, peaceful, and yet completely alien. Ethan felt a strange connection. These were the same people who might one day seek Clear. Yet here they were, living, struggling, and surviving like any other species. It reinforced his belief that life was worth protecting, no matter the differences. Suddenly, Clear reacted. Its small body stiffened, eyes narrowing. Ethan followed its gaze and saw a patrol moving in their direction, scanning the area. The hatchling chirped loudly, a warning that cut through the quiet. "Time to go," Ethan whispered. They retreated carefully, using the terrain and Clear's guidance to avoid detection. It was a test of trust, and the bond between human and alien proved unbreakable. Later, aboard the Starhawk, Ethan reflected on their journey. "Clear isn't just surviving," he said softly. "It's thriving, and it's teaching us something important. Strength isn't just about fighting. It's about courage, compassion, and connection." Myra nodded. "You're right, it's Inspiring, Rico added quietly, and terrifying, in a good way. If the Queen finds out how capable Clear is, she'll come after us even harder. Ethan didn't flinch. Let her come. We'll face it together. That's what humans do. We protect life, even when it's difficult, even when the odds are against us. Meanwhile, far beyond the Starhawk's sensors, Queen Zyra observed. Her massive ship glided silently, eyes fixed on the human vessel. She had watched Ethan and Clear navigate danger, evade patrols, and demonstrate courage and intelligence beyond what she expected from a human. Curious, she murmured. He does not act out of fear, nor for reward. His choices are guided by loyalty, courage, and compassion. Perhaps humans are not as predictable as I believed. The Queen made a decision. She would intervene, but not yet. She wanted to see how far Ethan would go, how deep his loyalty ran. It was not just a test of strength, but a test of character. And if he succeeded, she would recognize him as extraordinary, even worthy of something more than she had ever granted a human. Back on the Starhawk, Clear began showing signs of growth. Its small claws had grown stronger, its energy abilities more precise. It could manipulate environmental energy to protect them in ways that were subtle but powerful. Ethan marveled at its development. One evening, Clear climbed onto Ethan's lap, resting its tiny head against his chest. The hatchling's eyes glowed softly, communicating a sense of trust, affection, and understanding. Ethan placed a hand gently on its back. "You're safe," he whispered. "No matter what comes next, I won't let anything happen to you." Mira watched quietly from a corner. "Captain, you really mean that, don't you?" Ethan looked up, eyes steady. "Yes. It's not about orders, or missions, or glory. It's about doing what's right. Clear depends on me, and I won't fail." Rico, standing near the control panel, shook his head slightly, but smiled. "You're stubborn, Captain, but maybe that's what makes you human." Ethan chuckled softly. "Maybe. And maybe that stubbornness will be the difference between life and death. For all of us, as the Starhawk continued its journey. Ethan and his crew learned more about Clear's abilities, the potential it held, and the bond that could change the course of interstellar relations. Danger was always near, yet their courage, unity, and compassion made them stronger. And somewhere in the shadows of space, Queen Zyra watched, calculating and intrigued. Ethan had proven something remarkable. Humans were capable of extraordinary bravery and loyalty. How far would he go to protect a life, even one that belonged to his enemy? The answer, the Queen decided, would reveal itself soon. For now, Ethan and Clear moved forward through the stars, through danger, and toward a destiny that neither fully understood. The bond between human and hatchling had grown unbreakable, and the universe was beginning to take notice. The Starhawk glided silently through a quiet sector of space, but the calm was only temporary. Captain Ethan Voss could feel it, the tension, the unknown, pressing like a weight against his chest. Clear, the small Xylarus hatchling, perched on his shoulder, sensing the same unease. Its tiny claws dug lightly into his uniform, and its luminous eyes flickered with an almost urgent awareness. "Captain Mira," Chen said, her voice tight, "I'm picking up a massive energy signature ahead. It's unlike anything I've seen before. Not a ship, more like a living vessel." Ethan's jaw tightened. "That's her. The Queen." He glanced at Clear. The hatchling blinked slowly, almost as if acknowledging his fear, but offering reassurance. Ethan drew in a deep breath. "Prepare for contact. Keep your weapons ready, but remember, this is not a fight we start. Not yet." The energy field ahead shimmered and pulsed, revealing a massive vessel unlike any human ship. Its surface moved like liquid metal, reflecting the distant stars with soft, flowing colors. It was enormous, graceful, and terrifying. Queen Zyra's presence radiated through the field like a silent command. A sudden transmission crackled through the Starhawk's comm system. Her voice was smooth, melodic, yet carried an undeniable authority. "Captain Ethan Voss." Queen Zyra said, You have carried what is mine through countless dangers. You have protected my child when others would have destroyed it? That is unusual. Ethan's fingers tightened on the controls. Clear is not property. It is a life, and I won't hand it over. The Queen's tone did not shift, but there was a subtle hint of amusement. Bold, courageous, and admirable. You value life beyond your species. That is rare. Mira whispered from behind him, Captain. She's evaluating us. Be careful, Ethan nodded. I know. Keep calm. Show respect, but stand firm. Then, with a soft hum, an energy bridge extended from the Queen's vessel to the Starhawk. It was stable, controlled, and unmistakably an invitation or perhaps a challenge. Ethan glanced at Clear, who chirped softly, its glow pulsing in rhythm with the energy field. The hatchling seemed to recognize the significance of the moment. Ethan exhaled. All right, little one. Let's meet the Queen. The Starhawk approached the energy bridge carefully. As they crossed, the lights around them shimmered, bathing the bridge in colors that shifted like liquid fire. Ethan's heart pounded. He had faced danger before, but nothing like this, nothing that tested courage, intellect, and honor all at once. Upon arrival, the Starhawk entered a vast chamber within the Queen's vessel. Towering walls glowed softly with energy, and the floor seemed almost alive, responding subtly to their movements. At the center of the room, Queen Zyra stood. Her form was immense, elegant, and impossibly powerful. Her eyes met Ethan's, sharp and piercing, as if she could read his thoughts. You have come willingly, she said, her voice echoing through the chamber. Few humans would have done so. Most would flee or cower. Yet you walk forward, knowing the risks. Ethan met her gaze steadily. I am not here to fight. I am here to protect what cannot protect itself. He gestured toward Clear, who now stood on a platform beside him, small and glowing. This hatchling is innocent. It deserves life, not death or capture. Queen Zyra tilted her head, observing him closely. You speak of honor and protection, but are you willing to prove it? To show that your courage is more than words? Ethan straightened. Yes, I will do whatever it takes to protect Clear. A sudden shift in the chamber changed everything. Energy platforms rose from the floor, forming a complex labyrinth of challenges. Lights pulsed, walls shifted. Projections of hostile creatures appeared, simulations designed to test instinct, strategy, and compassion. Ethan drew in a breath. It's a test. He looked at Myra and Rico. Stay alert. We go through this together. Clear stays with me. The first simulation activated. A group of humanoid figures trapped beneath falling debris, energy fields surrounding them. They were not dangerous, but they were clearly in peril. Ethan reacted instantly, directing the Starhawk's auxiliary tools remotely to lift the debris. Freeing the projections safely, Queen Zyra's voice echoed softly. Compassion. You value life, even when it does not benefit you. Interesting. The second challenge was a series of tactical obstacles. Moving energy barriers, shifting platforms, and environmental hazards forced Ethan to think quickly. He relied not only on his experience as a captain, but also on Clyre's unique abilities. The hatchling manipulated energy fields subtly, protecting them from sudden blasts and guiding Ethan to safer paths. You work well together, Queen Zyra noted. Few humans can coordinate with beings outside their species. Yet you do it naturally. You understand loyalty, trust, and connection. The final test was the most intense. Projections of aggressive Zalaris warriors emerged, their simulated attacks precise and overwhelming. Ethan's heart raced. Every decision mattered. He used strategy, intelligence, and courage, but also relied on Clyre's instincts and abilities. Together, human and hatchling moved as one, deflecting attacks, protecting innocence, and navigating the maze of energy with astonishing precision. At the end, all projections dissolved. The chamber was silent except for the soft hum of energy. Ethan stood, breathing heavily, his eyes on the Queen. Clear chirped softly, glowing faintly but steadily. Queen Zyra approached, her presence dominating, yet somehow regal. You have proven yourself, Captain Ethan Voss," she said. "Courage, loyalty, compassion, you have all the qualities I value. You protect life, not for gain, but because it is right. Rarely have I seen such a spirit." Ethan bowed slightly, a gesture of respect. "I do what I must. It's not about reward or recognition. It's about doing what is right." The Queen studied him, her gaze intense. "And yet what you have done goes beyond ordinary courage. You risked everything for the child of your enemy. That is remarkable. I claim you, not as prisoner, but as one worthy of trust and honor. You may stand beside me if you choose." Ethan's mind raced. Stand beside the Queen? Work with an alien civilization that had been humanity's enemy? Yet, he saw the opportunity to protect Clear, to build understanding, and to show what humans could truly achieve. "I will not betray my species," he said carefully, "but I will work to protect life wherever I can. If my actions can save lives and build peace, I will do it." Queen Zyra inclined her head. "Wise, courageous, humble, you understand the value of balance. You see the strength not in domination, but in protection. I welcome you, Captain Ethan Voss, as an ally and protector of my line." Clear chirped loudly, leaping to Ethan's shoulder, its tiny claws brushing against his neck. Ethan felt a surge of pride and connection. Together, they had passed the Queen's ultimate test not with weapons alone, but with courage, intelligence, and compassion. Myra and Rico exchanged looks. "She's claiming him," Rico whispered, "but not as prisoner." "As something more," Ethan nodded. "Yes, but it's more than that. It's recognition of what humans are capable of. Our strength, our courage, our loyalty. That's what she sees. And it could change everything." The Queen extended a hand, not to strike, but as an invitation. "Walk with me, Captain. See what your choices can achieve. See the future that might be built when courage meets wisdom." Ethan hesitated for a moment, then stepped forward. Clear clung to him, glowing softly, a symbol of the bond that had been tested and proven. Together, human and hatchling walked beside the Queen. Not as conqueror and captive, but as allies on a path that could redefine the future. In that moment, Ethan realized something profound. Courage and compassion were not weaknesses. They were the ultimate strengths. Protecting life, even the life of an enemy, could command respect, inspire change, and open doors that violence never could. Queen Zyra studied him as they moved through the corridors of her vessel. "Your species surprises me, Captain. I believed humans to be unpredictable and often weak. Yet you show wisdom and bravery beyond my expectations, perhaps. There is hope in humanity." Ethan smiled softly, glancing at Clear. "There's hope in all of us, if we choose it. Strength isn't just about winning fights. It's about protecting what matters, even when it's hard." The Queen nodded. "Then perhaps we are not so different after all. Courage, loyalty, and compassion. These are universal across species. You have reminded me of that truth." As they continued to walk, Ethan felt the weight of what had happened. He had faced a test that could have destroyed him, yet he had emerged stronger, not because of his weapons or strategy alone, but because of his choices, his humanity, and his bond with Clear. The galaxy, vast and unpredictable, had begun to notice the human who dared to protect the child of his enemy. And in doing so, he had proven that humans were not just survivors. They were champions of courage, honor, and compassion. The path ahead remained uncertain. But for the first time, Ethan understood something fundamental. True strength was measured not by domination, but by the courage to protect, the wisdom to choose wisely, and the heart to act with honor, and somewhere deep in the shadows of space. Queen Zyra considered a future where humans were not enemies, but allies guided by the courage and spirit of one remarkable man. The universe had shifted, and the test was over. But the journey, the real journey, was only beginning. The Starhawk floated in the serene glow of the Zolaris Queen Zyra's vessel. a place that once had seemed alien and threatening. Now, under Queen Zyra's watchful gaze, it felt strangely like a bridge-in intersection of trust, courage, and possibility. Captain Ethan Voss stood on the observation deck. Claire perched safely on his shoulder, its tiny claws digging gently into his uniform. The hatchling's eyes glowed softly, a constant reminder of the bond that had been forged through fire, danger, and compassion. Captain Lieutenant Mira Chen said, her voice quiet but filled with awe. We're still in her territory. The moment we step out of line, the Zalaris could attack. How do we handle that? Ethan exhaled slowly, placing a hand on Claire's small back. We don't just survive by fighting, Mira. We survive by showing that humans can be more than warriors. We can be protectors, allies, and maybe even teachers. That's how we earn respect. Rico Vila, leaning against the railing, frowned. Respect is great, but what about strategy? What if the Queen changes her mind? Ethan shook his head, a small smile forming. Then we adapt, just like we always do. But right now, we focus on the trust we've built. That's our strength. Across the chamber, Queen Zyra's towering figure approached. Her eyes, sharp and unyielding, seemed to study Ethan and Claire simultaneously. There was no threat in her movements now, only purpose. You have proven your worth, Captain, she said. Your courage is beyond what I expected from your species. Your choices have protected what many would destroy. That is rare, even among the strongest of my kind. Ethan met her gaze steadily. Thank you. But protecting Claire isn't about proving anything. It's about doing what is right. The Queen tilted her head, regarding him carefully. And yet, by doing what is right, you have changed the course of potential conflict. You have shown that life can hold value. That is remarkable. Claire chirped softly, its glowing eyes flicking between Ethan and the Queen. It seemed aware of the importance of this moment, the culmination of the trust and courage that had carried them through countless dangers. Queen Zyra's voice softened slightly. Captain Ethan Voss, I offer you a choice. You may remain under the protection of your people and continue your journey as you see fit. Or you may stand beside me as an ally and guardian of my line. Your actions have proven that humans can be more than what we feared. If you choose this path, we will walk together toward a future where understanding and strength are shared. Ethan considered her words carefully. Standing beside the Queen would mean entering a world completely unknown to humans, a world filled with possibilities and risks beyond anything he had faced. Yet he could not ignore the chance to protect Claire fully, to ensure the hatchling's safety, and to show that humans could embody courage, honor, and compassion on a galactic scale. I will stand with you, Ethan said finally. Not for power, not for glory, but to protect life, to show what humans can do, and to honor the trust that Claire has placed in me. Queen Zyra's gaze softened, almost imperceptibly. Wise and brave. You see beyond fear, beyond division. That is why you are worthy, she extended her hand. Not as a command, but as a gesture of partnership. Ethan stepped forward, Claire glowing brighter in response. And together they formed a symbol of trust between species. The next days passed in an unusual harmony. Ethan began learning about the inner workings of the Zalaris Empire, their culture, and the values that guided their queen. He realized that despite their reputation as fierce warriors, the Zalaris possessed intelligence, discipline, and an understanding of loyalty that mirrored humanity's finest traits. Claire grew rapidly as well. Its abilities continued to develop, now capable of subtle energy manipulation and telepathic communication. Ethan observed with awe as the hatchling guided small repairs aboard the Starhawk using its energy powers, reinforcing shields and even assisting in navigation through dense asteroid fields. Claire's presence was not just protective, it was inspiring. One evening, as the Starhawk drifted near a luminous nebula, Ethan walked with Claire and the Queen through one of the vessel's grand corridors. The lights shimmered softly on the metallic walls, reflecting the quiet strength of their alliance. You have a rare spirit, Captain, Queen Zyra said. Most humans would have been swayed by fear, by anger, or by the desire for revenge. You acted with compassion and courage. That is why you are here. Ethan looked down at Clear, then back at the Queen. We all have the capacity for courage and honor. It's the choice that matters. Clear taught me that sometimes the smallest life can show the greatest lessons. The Queen nodded. Indeed, and the universe is watching, even if it does not yet know it. Your actions may shape the future of both our species. Suddenly, alarms blared across the Starhawk. Ethan's heart jumped, but Clear's small form glowed brightly, signaling reassurance. The Queen's voice echoed in the calm. Do not fear, Captain. A test remains, but it is not one of battle. It is of trust. Outside the vessel, a group of rogue Zaloris warships approached, unaware of the Starhawk's new alliance. They had heard rumors of a human protecting a Zalaris hatchling, and saw it as a betrayal. Yet, when the rogue ships opened fire, Clear reacted immediately. Its energy radiated outward, forming a protective shield around the Starhawk. Deflecting attacks and guiding evasive maneuvers, Ethan worked with precision, his crew following his commands. Together, they navigated the threat, relying on strategy, trust, and the unexpected partnership with Clear. Within moments, the rogue ships retreated, unable to comprehend the coordination between human hatchling. In Queen's power, Queen Zyra observed silently, her respect for Ethan deepening. You have faced danger without hesitation. You do not seek glory. You do not act for dominance. You act for protection and understanding. That is rare among leaders of any species. Ethan exhaled, watching Clear glow softly, its energy subsiding as the immediate threat passed. We survived together, he said simply. That's how we protect what matters. The Queen stepped closer. You have proven your loyalty, Captain Ethan Voss. And now, the galaxy must see that humans are not merely survivors, but champions of courage and honor. You and Clear represent a bridge proof that alliances can form when bravery and compassion lead the way. Over the next weeks, Ethan worked with Queen Zyra to establish communication channels between the Zaloris, Empire, and human colonies in the Rim. It was a delicate process, requiring diplomacy, patience, and courage. Yet each step forward showcased human ingenuity and integrity. Ethan's decisions, guided by compassion and strategy, earned trust among both species. Clear became a symbol of hope. Its bond with Ethan inspired both humans and Zaloris, demonstrating that loyalty and bravery could cross species boundaries. Wherever they traveled, Clear's presence reminded everyone that courage and compassion could create change far greater than weapons ever could. One day, Ethan stood at the observation deck, looking at the stars with Clear at his side. Queen Zyra approached quietly. Captain, she said softly, your people would be proud. And yet, it is not your people who shape this moment. It is your choices, your courage, and your spirit. Ethan smiled, resting a hand on Clear's small back. We all have a chance to make a difference. Clear showed me that. And together, we can build a future worth protecting. The Queen's eyes softened. Then walk forward, human. Walk forward with honor, courage, and loyalty. The universe is vast, but you have proven that a single heart, guided by compassion, can change it. As the Starhawk continued its journey through the stars, Ethan, Clear, and their allies moved forward into a future filled with possibility. Humans had shown that bravery and morality were not just tools for survival, but forces that could inspire allies, earn respect, and shape the destiny of worlds. The galaxy had witnessed a remarkable bond, a human protecting the child of his enemy, earning the respect of a powerful alien queen, and forging an alliance that could redefine relationships across species. For Ethan, Clear, and those who had followed the path of courage and honor, the adventure was far from over. But one thing was certain: their journey had proven a universal truth. Courage, compassion, and loyalty are the greatest powers any being can possess, no matter their species. And so, In the quiet glow of the nebula, aboard a ship that once carried fear but now carried hope, the story reached a new beginning. Humanity had not only survived the stars they had risen, proving that their greatest strength lay not in weapons but in the heart. The universe watched, and it began to change.